My name is Taylor Mokate. I'm the account exec here at Outbuild, based in Texas. I've been here most of my life. Played football, played rugby for years and years, and then got into construction a little over 13 years ago now, which is hard to say. We've got with us Trevor over at Spring Valley. Trevor, you want to do your own intro, sir?
Yeah, so I'm Trevor. I'm with Spring Valley Construction. I actually run all the construction technology here. Uh, brief background. Started in construction when I was 13 with my uncle, went to school for it, and been doing it ever since.
You're also a barbecue aficionado. I don't know if you want to speak to that. You're a TV star. I mean, there's a list of acumens we should probably get into.
Yeah, I was on a brief show called Barbecue High when I was teaching high school. I was the barbecue coach there.
Worth a look, y'all. I'd recommend it. Well, perfect, man. No, I appreciate you giving a quick introduction. Do you mind sharing a little bit about Spring Valley and kind of, what y'all's approach is, what type of work y'all are taking on, size of the company, kind of general stuff?
Yeah, so Spring Valley Construction is a general contractor out of Dallas. We mainly stay in the DFW area. We do anything from grocery stores, tilt wall office buildings, warehouse expansions, and then multifamily. We also have some faith-based, doing some church remodels and stuff like that.
Awesome. Anything you guys are working on right now you're excited or want to promote?
Uh, yeah, we're building the new HEB in Rockwall currently, right there off 30, and then we're also building a Tom Thumb in Sunnyvale Mesquite area.
Okay, nice. Yeah, my wife is a sucker for HEB, so I won't tell her.
She'll
Um,
make you drive there.
yeah, it's a bit of a hike for us. Awesome, man. And I know, you and I have been talking now for a little over a year. You got back into construction after a little bit of a reprieve. And when you were brought in, do you mind talking about kind of that core mission that they gave you as you started back at Spring Valley?
Yeah, so when I started, one of the scheduling softwares that we were using was kind of at its end of life. And one of the first tasks they gave me when I came back was, hey, find something that works for us. And a big deal for us was we needed something that was iOS compatible because we're all Mac. Um, Most of the other ones, like P6 and Microsoft Project, you cannot use on a Mac anymore. So we had to find an alternative, and we just wanted something where we could connect our field and office, having our 3 week look ahead, eventually tie into the master schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know there was some headaches associated with that. They kind of gave you a pretty good runway to try and solve that problem, which was pretty large for the organization. And I think we talked in the first couple of weeks that you were actually back at Spring Valley, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was right.
Yeah, I think I did a little free demo through Outbuild, which is kind of what set them ahead was having a free trial, being able to try out the system before you even look at it.
Yeah, and that's a huge part, man. I'm glad you brought that up because the evaluation, I mean, we really look at it as a partnership and you got to build trust and earn that. And that really comes down to giving teams access to the platform, letting them use it and try it and make sure it's the right fit. Do you mind maybe talking a little bit about what that was like for you guys, from the time we started talking versus, everything it took to get you guys to a partnership?
Yeah, I think I had a trial for a couple days before I got reached out to by you, Taylor.
Yeah.
And I think our first phone call, I told you I was going to try and break the system,
Yes, you did.
which I'm uh I'm pretty good about trying that. So if I can break it, we got to find a solution to fix it and keep going forward. The overall, I guess, process for our evaluation, I think I went through 10 to 12 different softwares before we landed on Outbuild was the one we're going with.
Wow.
And that included anything from other web-based softwares to the standalone P6 and Microsoft Project, which we already knew couldn't work.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Limitations with hardware with what you guys are working on the iOS side. Awesome. And I know you guys have had Outbuild now under your belts. We're continuing to train and expand that across the company. Do you mind sharing, project usage, what that's been like, and maybe what you guys have realized from an outcome standpoint?
Yeah, I was talking to one of our PMs the other day, and Outbuild has saved his schedule updates probably about 2 to 3 hours a week because he can progress it right there in the web app while he's talking with the superintendent. And it's just a quick conversation instead of spending hours manually updating a schedule, saving a new file in the server, and just having just a disconnected system.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. That's huge. I mean, 3 hours back in your week, we could all use that. I'm sure it helps the bottom line as well, but we've all got more things to do than operate in different silos independently of each other. What about the implementation and getting this thing onboarded? I know you've been working with Ben DeBerry from our team. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we kind of did this as a quick implementation. We had three trainings in 3 weeks, all on a Monday. So it was a 3 week implementation, and then all new projects were starting in Outbuild. And I think as of today, I had it pulled up earlier. I think we're at 62
Mm,
active projects in Outbuild.
that's huge, man. We love hearing that. That's great to hear. And are you guys using it in the pre-con side as well?
Yeah, so all of our pre-con schedules are being built in Outbuild, and once it moves to operations, we'll add the job number to it, and that way we can filter by job number.
Sure, man. Web tool, start inviting more users, getting the PMs and supers and everybody bought into it as you guys start to roll it out and start construction. Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you being here again and giving us that information. You know, it's awesome to celebrate the victories, celebrate the wins and the partnerships that we've had. And we certainly look forward to working with Spring Valley for years to come. We appreciate you going in there and trying to break it. I can't remember if you were successful or not, but I'm sure we jumped on it pretty quick if you were.
Yeah, we got it figured out.
And what you kind of talked about at the front end of this call really sets up nicely to what we see, I would say, across the industry, not just here in Dallas and Texas, but globally across the industry is, you know, companies struggle with outdated software. We've had the same tools and mixed bag of options that were never really intended for construction. We've tried to trick them for years to do what we need to do, and some are better at that than others. But does it really provide the integrations to the project management solutions that we use? Does it really get our field teams engaged and collaborating with our subs and trades and ultimately make our lives easier, or does it add stress in processes? And that's really what we're here to talk about, is streamlining that process soup to nuts. Because if you recall, this is very much what you guys were dealing with back in the day, right? You had that contract schedule being done, fast track or otherwise. A lot of teams use project or P6. And then field coordination, for the most part, is totally independent of that. We're using Excel templates. We're updating dates every week and sending out stagnant PDF files that we're working from. We're using sticky notes to collaborate and constraint boards that are all, you know, again, in a trailer, nice and pretty on a whiteboard, but they don't really speak to anything else that we're using on a daily basis. Does that seem accurate from day one?
Yeah, I mean, we have an Excel file that we had our look ahead on, and then just like in the picture above, on the right, we had all of our stuff on a whiteboard in every job trailer. What's going on for the next 3 to 6 weeks?
Yep, yep. And that's you know, we see that time and time again. We didn't take this off your website or anything, but yeah, that's that's exactly what we see across the industry.
Yeah,
Uh,
you were in my job site trailer is what it looked like.
no, I didn't break in, I promise. And how do we solve that? And this is really where Outbuild comes into play by giving you guys a tool made for the industry. And that is a big step forward. We're not giving you 200 buttons that you're never going to leverage anyways, and you only use 10% of the tool. We give you everything you need and no more and no less. And it starts by giving you a contract schedule that checks every box that you need a CPM schedule to do. Define your critical path, create your logic ties, baseline your schedules, easily produce that PDF for ownership to get paid on a monthly basis. But it's much easier and intuitive. And maybe you can talk to that in your experience, you know, that drag and drop logic and how that's worked for your teams.
Yeah, our teams actually picked it up pretty quick. I think Ben didn't enjoy the awkward silence on the last implementation call, but they had no questions, which means they were ready to get in there and work at it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. What I always say is silence is acceptance in those moments, right? If you're not asking a question, then it must mean we're all good. And that contract schedule is certainly the first line of defense. Just making it easier and more intuitive for your teams to engage with is going to help. But the big thing here is that look ahead and how that's been disconnected for years. You kind of reference that Excel log that you're using. It's on somebody's desktop. I send out, you know, a copy to all my subcontractors one week. Maybe they're using that same version months from now instead of the one that I want them to reference. And so these things are constantly changing, and we're hopping between a schedule over here, you know, an Excel look ahead out in the field, and then different copies of that are floating around. So what Outbuild does really nicely is take that schedule that you build, more of a milestone or a phase schedule, feed it into a connected look ahead that your superintendents, your trade contractors can all collaborate and build out that detail below the surface. And I know that's something that we're starting to roll out with Spring Valley. We're excited to see that kind of take the next step in evolution with you. But what that does is protect us, right? We don't have to overload a schedule with too much detail. I can really let my field own the tip of the spear, own that process, get buy-in and collaboration started, and keep us tied to what that contract expectation is. Some other things I'd like to note too is that Outbuild's all web-based. We're not tied to one piece of hardware, one component. And I know that was a big selling point for you guys early on, Trevor, was the fact that you could access it anywhere on pretty much any device.
Yeah, being able to access it. Actually, I was on a cruise when we were in testing phase, and a PM needed a project added, so I was able to log in on my phone and do it.
That was when you were going to Alaska, right?
Yeah, I was in Alaska for 2 weeks.
I'm still jealous of that trip. And that's exactly critical, right? It's access to the information where you need it, when you need it. The other thing is unlimited users. So you're not gatekeeping logins and licenses like you have. And I mean, we've got it down here twice for some reason. I guess it's just that much important to us that we we convey that it's twice as important. But that collaboration is critical to get everybody using it together instead of operating in silos that don't really communicate. And again, you can set different levels of permission and usability, but that kind of grows with you guys as your experience with Outbuild continues to expand. And then that portfolio view I know has been helpful for you as well, right? I think you mentioned 60 some odd projects that you're currently monitoring in Outbuild. I mean, when you log in, do you see all 60 of those projects on top of each other on one screen?
Yeah, so I actually look at it through a timeline view, and then I filter it by project name. That way I can just quickly, hey, this was a project that started in 2024. I go to the 24s and it's right there.
Yep. Yep. That historic data and also the projects that you're kicking off. And that helps align, where are our resources internally, our PMs and our supers currently, and what projects can we take on as we get more work awarded. But, even that ability to filter by trade partner to see where one sub may be dispersed across all of your jobs. So ease of use is another big component of this. I would say the number one resistance to change for a lot of folks is, will my field buy in? Can I get my superintendents trained up in short order and using this tool? Because the tool at the end of the day is only good as the end user. And I think Outbuild really speaks to that because we started with the field in mind when we built the program. We didn't just throw something at a wall and hope that it stuck. We said, how do I make a superintendent's job easier, make them more efficient and more comfortable in the process while still fostering collaboration with everybody that needs to be a part of that process? And I know you guys are just getting kicked off. Do you mind kind of sharing what your experience has been so far? Is it that training, relatively smooth, or any insight on that one?
Yeah, so we actually had all our superintendents in the office over 2 days, half of them one day, half the other. And we actually had Ben down here to do the training in person. And by the end of the training, we had buy-in. They were ready to get into it. We actually had one project because we're starting on all new projects going forward, doing the look ahead. We
Mhm.
had one project team that said, "Hey, can we go back and start this now so we can finish out our project?" So
Yep.
that's a pretty big win for me.
Dude, absolutely, man. That's awesome to hear. And we can get into the benefits of that and the ROIs on it, but just the fact that you have people eager enough to use a tool, especially at a field level, I think speaks volumes to the ease of use. And it's all live, right? We're not working in a date or an update from one period to the next where everything is outdated between A and B. It's my superintendents use my schedule to build that look ahead collaboratively with the trades. And as they feed progress in the field, it's automatically hitting that schedule. So it's a living, breathing schedule environment that, in this day and age, a lot of teams just do not have access with the archaic tools that we've been trying to trick to use. And roadblocks is a big part of that, right? We put that plan in place for a reason. Now, as a team, we want to protect that plan. And we talked about the constraint log on your whiteboards that you referenced a little bit ago. Outbuild has a tool where we can flag those roadblocks, identify that risk, hold people accountable, and then have that all digital so you can reference it anywhere in the world to be able to help support and clear those roadblocks for your field teams to make sure that we can deliver the project on schedule and as planned. And then partner,
Yeah, and
right? That's the next thing. Go ahead.
yeah, and something else with roadblocks, where our supers were going to see a big benefit of it was tying those RFIs to the schedule, knowing when, hey, this RFI is going to affect my schedule at this point. Let's start asking the question now.
Yep. Let's not wait till the day of and only to find out that we're still waiting on clarity, and now we're pushing, a week, 2 weeks behind schedule because of it. You know, yeah, it's that proactive that everyone really talks about in this day and age, wanting to be more proactive and less reactive. And exactly to your point, Trevor, it's the ability to flag that in advance enough so that we're not getting impacted a day late and a dollar short on these projects. And then, obviously accessibility was important. When you guys signed up, it was iOS is really was the focus. A lot of your superintendents and field teams are using iPads. And so Outbuild actually has a dedicated iPad app that allows those superintendents to do all that from the field. They don't have to sit in front of in a trailer in front of a computer to build out an Excel and send that out to everybody. They can invite all of their subcontractors in there with them, collaborate on the plan of attack to achieve these milestone dates. And then have everybody engaged from start to finish so that we're more likely to deliver it as planned and as promised. And I know that's another focus that you guys have as we start to continue to roll that out across those projects and get more of the field team involved. Why do you think that's important, though? I'm curious, partner involvement, getting subs bought in. Why do you think that's important to the industry?
Well, I mean, if you have everybody working together for a common goal, I mean, the common goal is getting the project done. So we essentially all get paid.
Yeah.
Quicker you get it done, quicker you get paid.
Yeah, it's not pro bono work, right? We all do it for a reason at the end of the day. The bottom line drives all things. So, and I think you're right. The day the day of force feeding a very detailed 1,000 line item schedule to a bunch of trade contractors and expecting them to deliver it as planned, when all they're going to do is wad that up and throw it away, is gone, right? We're looking to get their buy-in. You tell me, I've got 10 days in the schedule to get this completed. How are we going to achieve success here? What is it going to take, and what can I help you with? And you kind of alluded to this with the RFIs, but Outbuild has a powerful integration with Procore that allows you guys to have a really streamlined communication between both tools. Do you mind sharing a little bit about what you guys saw in the evaluation and what you're using today?
Yeah, so when we integrated Procore with Outbuild, any RFI that's created from Procore automatically generates a roadblock for you to assign in Outbuild. And actually, I think at the bottom of the RFI, you can assign it to that schedule item within Procore as well. So you can just, it automatically assigns to that item in Outbuild, and you just have to put a responsible party.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we achieve that connection with a click of a button, right? You sync that schedule from Outbuild into Procore when you're ready to share it with your stakeholders with one click sync to get it into the Procore for the first time. And once it's in there, to your point, you're pulling in those RFIs, you're flagging them in your plan so that you guys can see that delay and impact before it happens and avoid it. Or if it does come to fruition and we can't get a response in time, at least I can always go back and tell that narrative to an owner and say, hey, we sent that notification. We were waiting on the RFI weeks in advance, and now we're a week, 2 weeks behind because I still can't get a response on this work. And the last thing we want to do is install it and rip it out and have rework that we're paying for as well. So keeping that communication is pivotal. Submittals is another big thing, right? We hear a lot of contractors that are using Project or P6. They're building, maybe a submittal part within the schedule. Then they've got that submittal built in Procore or other tools, and then they've got a third spreadsheet that they're using to really marry all those dates and keep an eye on the ball with what's required in the approvals. Outbuild comes in and gets rid of all that disconnect because right now you're working in 3 different silos, and with Outbuild, you build that submittal, tie it into your schedule, and it's actively communicating between both tools, let you know what those approval dates are, what your expected required on-site dates are, and really better managing that as a whole.
Yeah, and I think there's actually a template online where you can use your submittal and all the dates for it to create a procurement log.
Exactly, yeah. Or you got an engineer on site spending hours out of his week going through and changing a date here, changing a date here, and changing a date here just to keep all 3 systems connected. So, yeah, that's certainly something to talk about. And we're excited too to announce the Autodesk integration that's coming down the pipe in the near term. We're looking at rolling that out, and we're excited to see that grow. It'll start with a one-click sync of your schedule into Autodesk to keep your stakeholders engaged. And you can see from our Procore experience, it's only going to grow from there. So we're fired up to have that coming out here in the near term. Last thing on this is that support team, right? I know Ben and his group have been instrumental in you guys getting to success and seeing those 60+ projects really hit the ground running. I know we already talked about this, but I love bragging about Ben and the team. Do you mind talking about the pros and cons of that support model and what that looks like?
I mean, Ben's just one click away. There's the little help button on Outbuild on the app or on the web based, and half the time when someone answers, it's Ben or someone else that I know from the support team.
Yeah, I think he sees
So,
your name pop in there and he wants to jump on it first. So,
well, actually, one of our pre-con managers hopped in there. I think it was Sunday night in the middle of the night, working on his pre-con schedule,
oh
and he
wow.
had a question, and Ben's the one that answered.
Oh man, yeah, they broke the mold when they made our bin, so we're excited to celebrate him on this call, and I will again sing our support teams and our success teams qualities, what they bring to the table, their experience, and just generally great people that are there to help you guys every step of the way. So I love singing their praises, and we celebrate them as much as we can. Awesome, man. Well, I know we had a kickoff process. We did all of our training and onboarding. You referenced that live support that we provide as well. I think it's time we jump in and kind of drive through and show the people what they came here for. You ready to get into it?
Sounds good.
Giddy up, man. And let's get in there. And is my screen share still working for you? Can you see Outbuild over there?
Yes.
Awesome. And y'all feel free to ask questions again. I tend to talk pretty quick because I'm very excited and passionate about what we do. So I apologize in advance. But if I gloss over anything or if you want to spend some more time on it, please hop into that Q&A section and feel free to ask some questions. Awesome. So as we talked about, y'all, Outbuild is totally web-based. I just logged into outbuild.com. I've got all of my projects right here on the first screen, and it lets me see the entire portfolio of work that I'm managing. For a 1 PM, it may just be the one job. Project execs, directors, and VPs, it may be an entire segment or industry type. For a CEO, president, it may be the entire company and the whole portfolio of work. Trevor, you get all the projects whether you want them or not, right?
That's correct. Having super admin access gets you access to all the projects.
Exactly, man. It's the golden ticket. And you can see here, I've got all my projects. I've got start dates. I've got end dates and durations. I can see progress and variance from the active baseline that's showing. So it gives me high level visibility to manage the entire portfolio of work, which in these tools that you're using today, the historic ones, they do not have that capability. You're working in shared drives and individual files that we hope are being updated, on a weekly or monthly basis most times. So having real live scheduling data that you can jump into is huge. The other nice thing that we rolled out recently is the ability to filter by individual subcontractors. So let's just say I'm using Baker Drywall or somebody out there, and I want to be able to see where that one trade is across all my projects. I can easily filter that on here and see across all my jobs, where am I bottlenecking that resource in particular? Am I going to have a labor issue? Am I going to get myself into a bind? So again, at a high level, we can spot check and see that risk sooner. I'm going to hop into this 2025 Builder Street job, and we'll use this as our example for today, y'all. And where we first land as we hop into the job is going to be our master schedule. So this is a direct replacement for Microsoft Project for the P6s. This is your new scheduling solution. You can see here, I don't have 200 buttons that I'm never going to use. It is literally what I need it to do. And creating a schedule couldn't be any easier than this. Let's just say I was in Foundations. I wanted to add in some scope. I'm hitting a plus button to add in some new activities. I'm going to come in here and punch in some durations and give myself some rough dates to work from. And then I want to tie this thing in logically. And you can do that by typing predecessor, successor columns like you're used to. You can use the activity card if you're a P6 transplant, you want to leverage it that way as well. But a much more intuitive and easier way to do this is simply drag and drop. Finish to start relationships, start to start relationships become a very easy click and drag. If I need to input lag, I can come in here, type in a 5-day offset, and it lags that Gantt bar for me to give me that buffer to work from. That is the first thing I would show from ease of use. The other thing that I like talking about is the ability to link all this with a click of a button. So maybe I'm in a pre-con state, maybe I'm estimating, and I want to put together a preliminary schedule. I can build out, 100, 200 line items, come in here with my entire schedule. In this case, I'm just going to pick foundations, click one button that says link, and it defaults to build out finish to start logic for me automatically. So I can get to a rough end date, a duration with a click of a button. Trevor, anything to add on that from y'all's experience or anything you think is important to note to the good people at home?
No, you showed it first, doing the drag and drop from finish start and then double clicking on it to add lag.
Yeah, man, saving some headaches. From here, I would typically show baselining. You have unlimited baselines to work from in Outbuild. You can turn these on and off at your discretion. But the goal here is to give us something to measure against. So as we can see, these dates that are floating next to the Gantt bar over here, plus 4 days, negative 10 days, it's showing me a header behind schedule compared to what that schedule baseline showed originally. So maybe that was my owner intent, my notice to proceed. Maybe that's a change order event. But as I start to move and go through the course of construction and change these things, let's say concrete decking is going to be delayed, it calls out to let me know where I'm impacted and what else that risk is, but also how much risk I have, right? That 1 day is going to hurt me here, but it's also going to cost me the rest of the way until I can recover that time somewhere else down the road. From there, I would talk about schedule updating for our Procore customers. It's a one-click sync to get your schedule into Procore. So it couldn't be any easier to keep all your stakeholders aware of what's going on and where we're at. I can come in here and push that update at a moment's notice, and now Procore has my schedule in it. Once I have it in there, I can tie back to submittals like we talked about, and you can see those icons here in red and blue. I don't want to get into too much detail on that today, but just know that it allows me to automate that procurement log and really streamline the way that we manage that risk as a team. It also gets rid of, 20, 30, 100 line items at the top of your schedule that are all submittal related. After that, I've got a few other options to choose from. I can highlight critical path and see my WBS. I can produce a PDF in a moment's notice, and I'm not fighting the formatting like I have in Microsoft Project for years, where the columns and the Gants and everything are all mixed and matched. So really making that easier and just solving some headaches is a good thing. I'm going to jump into the look ahead and talk more about the field engagement and how we collaborate with the look ahead. But I want to pause and see if there's any questions, if anybody wants to get into anything in particular on that schedule related. Alex or Trevor, are there any questions in there? Or are we good to go?
No, there was one question, but Alex answered it. There was one thing that would be good to show on the download was the I'm trying to remember it now. Updating the iPad app version.
Oh
Being able
yeah,
to view the
absolutely.
master in the iPad.
Yep, good call out. Again, we do have the iPad app, which is more superintendent focused, which is our look ahead that I'll show here in a second. But if I check that box, it allows me to keep everyone in the field up to date with my schedule. So they can easily open it up on an iPad and see that master schedule at a high level. That's a great call out. The last thing I'll say here in the schedule side before we go is that all the schedule items you see here are 5 days, they're 10 days, they're more of a milestone or a phase driven schedule. A big part of Outbuild is not overloading a schedule with all the detail that should really be owned at the field level. Think of the schedule as a way to say what we're going to build in the general structure. And now the look ahead is where we're going to go in as a field team, as a superintendent, as a subcontractor, and really talk about how we're going to build that and how we're going to get there. So let me jump into the look ahead now, and I think that'll make more sense for everybody. Right out of the gate, what you're going to notice is I've got 3 activities in here, 12, 14, and 15. And these are all the activities that you just saw in the schedule that are pulled down here in this view for us to be able to plan off of. So when a superintendent first comes in here, all they're going to see is slab on grade. They're going to see the start date and end date that the schedule has, and they're going to see the total duration. And now they know this is the goalpost that I need to deliver that scope of work within. So all we're going to do, and I want to make this very clear to the world out there, all we're doing is hitting a plus button to tell me that there's a task a part of this. I'm going to assign that to the company that's going to be doing the work. I'm just giving this some color to look at. And now I'm going to tell you what day we're doing the work and how this is going to flow. And the beauty of this is, A, we're always using our schedule to build off of, so that look ahead is not disconnected anymore. It's a part of that. I don't have to overload my schedule and show this detail to an owner when I know all this is going to change Monday through Friday anyways. It gives my superintendents the flexibility they need. And the other thing is it gives me flexibility to plan how I want to. I can push plan, I can pull back from that milestone end date for slab on grade. So I can really address this any way I want that I feel comfortable and what's going to get me the most buy-in and engagement with my subcontractors. Another nice thing too is as I build progress into this schedule, as things start to progress, let's say I got into rebar and we're halfway done, that progress at the top right here in the schedule is going to update automatically. So I don't have to go to a separate schedule and update that weeks or months later on. It's happening in real time. It's that real time communication that is the difference maker, that saves you time, saves you energy, and lets us better understand how the projects are trending and where we're at risk. Trevor, anything to add on that, man? I'm talking too much. I can already tell.
Yeah, so there was a question about the orange box on the master. And it deals with the look ahead. Can you push one of those items out so they can see what it looks like?
Great call out, man. I know you guys are never delayed, but other contractors are, so it's probably important to show this.
If we have a project that's not delayed, we're doing something incredibly right.
That's a whole other conversation for another day, my friend. So let's just say this activity gets pulled out, or sorry, this task gets pulled past the end date of that activity. The second we go outside of that confound, we're not going to stop the super from scheduling, but we want to keep those two in sync. And so what that makes them do is actually communicate, this was the end date that your schedule shows for slab on grade. This is our projected new end date, and here's how many days off the mark we're going to be. And now we're going to provide a narrative that lets us understand what that is. So need 7 days due to RFI delay, due to rain, whatever it may be, due to 5 inches of rain overnight. I send my request. I think I spelled that wrong. All good. I send that request. And so what it does is actually alert the schedule in real time. So I'm going to hop back in the schedule here. I apologize for hopping around, but this alert would happen and go to the PM, go to the office, the scheduler, whoever's managing this schedule at the end of the day would get that notification. And we can see very clearly that orange box that the question alluded to earlier. So I don't know who that was, but I appreciate you bringing it up. You can see right now, slab on grade, we're 1 day ahead of schedule. That -1 day is in green is a good thing. If I click on slab on grade here, I'm going to see this box pop up. And what that does is tell me, hey, this alert from the field is letting you know, hopefully weeks in advance, that we're more than likely going to be delayed because the pour date isn't going to happen as we scheduled. So here's the projected new end date. And what this lets me do is actually preview what that change would do. What would that impact be if we accepted it as is? And once I do that, you see all these dates start to change over here. And I can turn that on and off. So you can see that changing real time in the schedule. And it's telling me what that risk is and what the overall impact is. Is it hitting my critical path? Is it pushing any key milestones? And what that allows us to do is talk through that, right? We can have that what if conversation. We can talk to an owner about change orders. We can talk to the design team that's holding up the RFIs and let them know what the impact would look like. And then if I approve these changes, it just takes hold. But either way, I've got the ability to go back later on and see exactly what transpired that took us off the mark, where it occurred, and what really was the cause of that delay. The golden ticket would be we flag it early enough in the field. Now collaboratively, we can really get ahead of that problem and find a way to avoid the impact overall. Maybe we start some other segment of work sooner. We pull something else up in the schedule. We work, a couple of nights or weekends, and now we're back on track and we've avoided that delay. Good call out, y'all. Chat is hot. Hopping back in the look ahead real quick, y'all. So we built out our schedule. We've done this collaboratively. We built out our look ahead. We've got all of our subcontractors engaged and working with us, pulling this, push planning, pull planning, whatever we're comfortable with. The other thing is trying to avoid those delays in the first place. So not just having an easier tool to communicate that internally and with all of our stakeholders and owners, but also if we can flag things like we talked about roadblocks in the look ahead, it means we're aware of those issues and we can get ahead of those. And Trevor, I think you said you guys had like hot list items in the trailer typically. Is that right?
Yeah, depending on the project, we would have it's either on an Excel, on the whiteboard, or in someone's phone.
Yeah, or somebody's head, right? I mean, that's at the end of the day, it's a lot of different inconsistent processes and lack of standard operating procedure that we're tied back to, and that's how we're managing risk. And those are all good first line of defenses, but they don't really speak to our plan and the look ahead and the schedule at the end of the day. And so as you can see here, these roadblocks are staring us in the face. They're letting you know, hey, there is a known issue here that we need to get ahead of, or else we will be impacted. And it creates that level of accountability that we're looking for. So all we're doing is coming in here and hitting a traffic cone. I'm telling you, hey, we need a change order approved. I'm waiting on this equipment. I need this inspection on site so that I can proceed. I'm tagging the people that are held responsible. So this is the accountability piece that we're looking for a lot of times. And then I'm letting them know what day I have to have this done by. So at least by Monday, I want to have that inspection scheduled and figured out. That does three critically important things for your field team. The first is it flags it right here, clear as day, like we talked about. The second is it sends an email automatically to that individual and says, hey, you're accountable for this. You're going to delay the project if you don't get this done on this date. And it allows us to manage all those in one location. So if I'm there on the trailer, if I'm 100 miles away, I can see all the known items and risks that we're dealing with. I can come through here and knock these things out as we get them done. But it's telling me what are those hot list items, who's responsible for it, when is it needed by, and how long until this potentially causes a delay for us on the job. Pull that up in a weekly huddle, pull that up in an OAC meeting, pull it up at dinner with your mama, take it everywhere you can, because this is how we're going to manage that as a team. It also lets us know what's expired, right? If that event is already come and gone, if that RFI didn't get answered and we're still waiting on it, how many days behind are we now because we're still waiting on that response? And you talked about this earlier, Trevor. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about that integration with the RFIs?
Yeah, you're just able to assign a date in the RFI to the schedule, so you can do it directly from Procore.
Yep. Correct. Yeah, that RFI pulls in here automatically in the draft section. Now I can take it and plug it into my look ahead and say, hey, this question is tied to this work coming up in a few weeks, which means that we're talking about it, we're aware of it, and we're more likely to get the answer sooner rather than later. And if I click on that Procore logo again, it just takes me directly to Procore so I can manage everything in our system of truth. So. Awesome, man. Well, I know we're coming up on time here. I definitely want to leave some time for questions. Plenty of other things we could talk about. Outbuild, our ability to commit weekly work plans, to easily produce PDFs and analytics. I will highlight our iPad app because I think this is absolutely critical to your teams as well, especially the superintendents. And I know this was a big reason why you guys looked at Outbuild in the first place, was that ability that you guys can come in here, build your look aheads from an iPad, collaborate with your subs, feed progress like we just did and have it communicate to the schedule, create roadblocks, denote delays, or simply come in here and say, hey, just show me this one subcontractor, show me my concrete crew and what their crew size is and where they're supposed to be the next few weeks. Easily produce a PDF, and now I can email it, text message it, and share that out to the world so that everybody's bought in with the plan and nobody's getting lost in translation. Awesome, man. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to talk about today in particular, but I feel like we covered a lot in a short amount of time. Were there any questions from anybody in the chat or anybody curious about something that they wanted to get more detail on?
No open questions currently, so I guess as you say, Taylor, silence is acceptance. But if anyone's got any lingering questions, feel free to type them in the Q&A, or I think you can raise your hand if you want us to take you off mute and you can ask us live.
No bad question. It's only the one you don't ask. It's a bad question.
Well, I guess that's a lot of, oh. Question, are there templates for residential new custom homes?
Custom homes. Great question. Yeah. The templating process in Outbuild is pretty easy. You can import and export with, P6 and MS Project if you have existing ones. Building a schedule is very easy. So once you have a schedule in there, you can copy that schedule in any new project. So while we don't necessarily have a template out of the box just for residential, we do have some example schedules that we'll share with you. And you can use those as a foundation to get started. But again, I'm confident with a little bit of training and onboarding that we provide, you would have no problem building that schedule yourself. I hope that answers it.
And then another, can you import from CSV or Excel format?
Yeah, currently our imports are limited to MS Project files and P6 files. So we can pull both of those in on the CSV or Excel file. I don't know if that's coming from an existing scheduling tool, if you're building that in Excel. I guess I'd want to talk to you a little bit more detail, Scott, on that one.
Yeah, and on that note, what is showing here on the screen, this QR code will take you to the form where you can request a personalized discussion with Taylor. You can also email Taylor if that's easier for you. And this is great for anyone who's got really specific questions they would like to ask. If they want to really dig in and understand how it would fit your specific use case, or if you want to bring more of your team along to to check it out. So feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to talk with anyone who's interested some more. We also, I do want to mention, we do have a program for our customers. So if you're thinking you might become a customer, or if you happen to be an existing customer on the call, where if you participate in things like this, like Trevor, if you're loving Outbuild and you want to tell the world that you can actually get little bonuses for doing that. So if you want to know more about that, I'll actually include a link to that program in our follow-up email.
Yep. And a huge thank you and shout out again to Trevor and the Spring Valley team. We love working with you guys. We appreciate the partnership, and I just love getting to work with you every day, man. Thanks again for everything.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Always, man.
Thank you
Always.
both so much. This has been very informative. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and we will follow up with a link to the recording in case you want to share that around at your own organization. And thank you all for attending.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.